All right, hello and welcome everybody. This is a prelude to Visionary Empaths Unite presents Leaders of the New Earth, Culture Shifting Through Business and Creativity. And I am joined today by some of the foremost creative healing practitioners blending art and activism and truth to power, moving it through our bodies, our minds, and our spirits, and out here to this lexicon because we understand as empaths, we are a gift and we are a light, and we're going to have to show the world exactly what empathy and compassion look like in real time. But that starts with how we treat ourselves. So I'm going to go ahead, yes, sis. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce to you. We have Jen Fanny, the edgy Zen spa master over here, who's going to help us when you see her interview move through how systemic racism shows up in the body and how to push that out. And for those of us who have been the oppressed, we can also move that oppression up out of our body so that we can reach high, stay rooted, but reach high and bring heaven to earth. Amen. And so
Amen.
over here we have my sister Latrice, who's going to tell you all about resilience. And so hopefully when you listen to her story, you won't have to learn it the hard way.
Right.
Okay. You can listen to what she says and she's ministering to you on how you can get rooted so that you understand that everything that comes to you is not a to do for you.
Mm.
Okay. So she's going to show you that discernment on how to say your no, but go ahead and say your hell yes. And then we have
Hell
my
yeah.
sister over here, Deidre D. Essence Smith, the artivist, wordism, was out here using her words. I call this is my hip hop prophet over here. She is just being used. She is a whole vessel. Okay. And she just allows her empathic gift to really help her channel messages that are out here healing because she is on her Detroit everything 365, advocating for the rights of everyone, LGBTQI plus. She's out here at colleges and universities, and she's in the very infrastructures in those systems that need change.
Mm.
So I'm just letting you all know that this is a summit not to miss. So this is one of the summits where get with your girlfriends or your sister friends or your homeboys or whomever. I say
Watch
this is
parties.
for female identified, but we also need to bring the masculine with us. So if you feel an umption to join the summit, get your blanket and your tea, or if you want something stronger, get that too, and get a notebook because the wisdom that is coming through, these are all vessels that is coming through these vessels. This is what's going to heal our planet. So just because we've turned a corner in our leadership, I just want to be clear, just because we've turned a corner in our leadership doesn't mean that consciousness is caught up. And so what we're here, we're talking about our consciousness, okay, the choices and beliefs and the thoughts that we carry up here, but also the true guide, which is here in the heart. That's the compass, okay? And so we're going to use our intuitive faculties, we're going to use our intellect, and we're going to use our emotions. We're going to be whole humans. Amen. And that's
Amen.
what we're here. Look, that's what we're here to do. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this interview kicked off proper like. So any one of you can take this question. When you hear the words leadership, new earth, empath, what are like your knee-jerk responses when you hear those words? And any one of you can take that one.
I think when I hear those words, what comes to mind is idealism. It's how are you going to form those very things that you speak of? Because what I hear in that is power in shaping your reality, right? And it sounds so obscure and metaphysical and out of reach, but it's real. It's as real as you and I sitting on these screens right now. And when we think about a new earth and we think about scripture that refers to, as in the kingdom of God, let it be on earth.
Mm,
And what we're calling to ourselves when we say that is all the goodness, all the great things, all the things that seem out of reach, that seem too hopeful for this realm. We actually have the power to access it, but only if we envision it first. And me being a creative, I say all the time, the creative mind is inexhaustible. And that means that it's resourceful enough to call those things into existence that aren't, or so you think. They are, but they're just waiting for you to call those things into existence. And so if you want a new earth, you have to have a new mind. And in order to do that, you have to put new things in front of you that align with those new thoughts. And once you do that, you create a new environment. Once you do that, you have new ground. And once you do that, you can take the same old roots and put them into new ground. We all know about when the plant gets too large for its original pot. You don't kill the plant. You pull it up by its roots and put it into new ground, more expansive ground. We expand its territory. So essentially, that's what we do. When I hear those words, that's what I think about. I think of myself as reaching for those things that we think we can't reach for, and then grabbing hold of it once you reach for it. A lot of people are reaching, but they haven't yet grabbed hold of what they're reaching for. So that's what comes to mind for me.
Yes, 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 yes. Uh, when I hear those three words that you brought together in this summit, I think of each person that exact topic, like where's our responsibility? How are we taking part in that? What you just shared was so powerful for me. It's that every human being, even if we don't call ourselves an empath, we all are sensitive. A lot of times as a Mexican American woman, people, call us flowery. We talk with our hands, and all the different things. And what I think about is that it is our job to become more sensitive so that we can be more response able to be the leaders to usher in this new earth that is required for the future generations to have the freedoms that humanity is waiting on us. As this, I loved how you opened it. This new leadership does not mean that the consciousness has caught up, and so there's, we've kind of as a world, hardened our skin to many of the injustices. And that is no longer a luxury or privilege that can be afforded by any color in any country for any reason, because it is an earth. And in order to have that new earth and that new world, it's going to take everyone's sensitivity and awareness opening up like a flower, and stepping into that leadership. So I really resonated so much with what our artivist there was talking about. What will we take on? How will we unearth that plant and give it that more wide and bigger breadth for us to continue to do the depth of our work.
Thank you. And Latrice.
Yes. When I heard those words, I automatically feel, when I think of leadership, I don't necessarily think of leadership over others. I think about leadership over ourselves. And in order for us to be able to create a new earth, then we're all going to have to be leaders in our own life for our own self and be like stewards over our own person, to be able to move forward, to be able to create this new world. We can't allow other people to control us and to manipulate us and to do these different things to us. So I feel like with the empath coming into it, that we're really going to have to feel, and we're going to really have to connect to our true source, and those entities and energies that we don't feel like we actually have a true connection to, that we're going to have to connect to those things, and we're going to have to step into our leadership and step into our power, to bring in the ushering of a new earth. That's what I get from it.
Ooh, you all are bringing it on today with just the wisdom and the insights. And I am so humbled that you all said yes to this. And I want to then invite, and again, you can ping pong it. When we hear highly sensitive or empathic, a lot of times we think of someone that is so overwhelmed by the world that it's almost debilitating. And on our spiritual journeys, we have gone through a dark night of the soul. We've gone through a purification process and an ascension. But I want to invite this conversation to you all. Can you describe what your realization was when you were in that dark moment, whenever you were, wherever your valley looked like, what came over you or what came to you to say, reach up, you can get through this. Being sensitive is nothing to be ashamed of, and that you have a power endowed in you to move from this valley to a mountain. So, what was that like for you as you went through your transitional period of embracing the truth of who you are?
Well, I'll share that. You know, Edgy Zen Spa is a very kind of keep it real kind of place. You know, I'm the owner and founder of Edgy Zen Spa. You know, some people are too zen and they need a little edginess to wake up, and some people are too edgy and they need a little zen. And for me, in the body, that sensitivity, that like, you know, that debilitation that you speak of, I think is a moment to moment, and it's a day to day. There is no arriving when we come to the body. The, you know, it's like the cycle of a day. We wake up, we go to sleep. We need rest. There is weariness that comes and it shows up, and it can show up with skin issues. It can show up with colon issues. Those are usually, they're actually in Chinese medicine related. They travel together. The skin and the large intestine are related, and they both deal with grief. And so the same for me is, have I become overly stimulated, and is something causing anxiousness in my day to day for sure the past year? But let's be real, in some ways the past 4 years, but then let's take it further back. Let's look at 400 or 500 years. And then if we look at patrilineal societies that are several, when we say, we're in the year 2021, of what? The year 2021 of what? Of a very patrilineal, mind frame. So when we look, where was the matrilineal? We're going to go back 10,000 years. We're going to go back, 50,000 years. And so that sensitivity, there's a weariness of the soul, of the physical body. And so overwhelm can happen to anybody, no matter how mentally, physically, spiritually, intellectually, bodily fit they are. They can be eating right and doing all the things. So something like this summit, I feel, is an opportunity to, choose a reset, choose to connect, choose to find ways to let go. These resiliency tools that we're talking about, these artivism tools, my fellow speakers and sisters, and you being that holder and that visionary that pulled us all in and said, I know this is needed. I know this medicine, the time is now. And so I just really appreciate you. And I think that for me with the body, there's no arriving at, I'm no longer, disabled by being sensitive. There are moments where you get, deer in the headlights. What was just said? What just went down? What happened? I don't know how to respond. So I'm so grateful to be a part of this.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's so wise. And I love how you brought in, really the body, because I think in a lot of times in these spaces, we can get a little too spiritual where, it's like, okay, you really up there in some bypassy high thought, or we're too down in the situation where we can't see. So I love that you're bringing it right back into how it shows up in our physical body, which does then impact our spiritual self, our emotional self, our spirit, all the selves, right? So I love how you centered. Yeah, you really did a great job of centering that. So yeah, Latrice, for you, like, what's the valley like?
Yeah, the valley is deep. The valley is deep, and I've been through many valleys in my life. We discussed it on the we discussed it, during
we sure did.
it. So, yeah. So, there's like 4 things. I was just thinking about it. 4 things that I do, that have nothing to do with what we talked about on the summit. That I just thought about it. So, one of the things that helped me to get out of the the valley is my daughters, my children, taking myself from outside of myself, feeling my feelings, understanding like, how I got there, but, thinking like, oh, well, it's not just about me because, I'm raising two daughters, outside of myself, and I want them to be able to, make it through, not just like shudder through, like we just gonna make it, we gotta make it, but just, having a level of strength to be able to come out of it. And a couple of other things that I did, there was a book, The 7 Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra, and looking at those universal laws and principles, and like really like attaching to the law of detachment and stuff, like being able to detach and being able to disconnect and being able to tell myself, not in a way that it's not real for me. It's like really I can detach and I can be okay with what's going on. Like if I used to be in a relationship, in my past, and like I was just always triggered. And it was a way of controlling me, And so when I figured out that in order to not be controlled, that I had to let go of that, having to be right or having to prove my point or making somebody see where I was coming from, or, like having a feeling of how somebody else was responding to me when it had nothing to do with me, then it helped me to be able to not get so upset, by things. I'm not like surprised by a lot of things that go on anymore, but I'm not affected as much as I used to be. I still I still get like a little emotional because I'm definitely a sensitive being. I'm definitely empathic. But I've also used that to connect with people. So it makes me way more compassionate for people. And when I realized that I was giving other people way more compassion than I gave myself, then I started like affording myself that same, compassion. So that was like 3 of them. And just like, using other tools, breathing, like taking a deep breath when I had to, because I forget to breathe. And sage helps my life, honey. I'll want some sage real quick. What? Oh, let me shift this energy. You see it's right here on my desk. I have it right here ready because it just helps. And it helps me to like, calm down and release. And I'm able to manage a lot better. But yeah, I've been in some, yes. Some dark, yes.
Thank you so much, Latrice. And yes, keep sage on your stage.
Yes.
Keep some sage on your stage. Keep it on deck.
Yes.
I love it. Oh my goodness. And my sister, D Essence, tell us about those valleys.
Yeah. Well, what comes to mind for me is the balance that you spoke of, not being so spiritual that you negate the fact that we're having a very natural existence with very real emotions and very real connections and very real disturbances, right? And my valley looked a lot like isolation, being set apart. It looked like a lot of self-reflection, and it looked like allowing those that were necessary and pressing into me in that darkness to allow them to do so, and those that were intended to fall away from me, accepting that and allowing them to do so. And we spoke of this before. I would go to the water every day. It was a conduit to the energy for me. When I would cast my prayers over that water, God would cast his blessings right over and have that current bring it right to me, those answers to those prayers. And I really felt like I resonated with the prophet Elijah, having been run out of the outskirts of town because he knew better and he wanted the people to do better. But yet and still, he was a very depressed prophet of God. Nonetheless, I was dealing with complex grief. I'd had a lot of deaths, a succession of deaths, one being the death of my mother and my father. And in that season, I developed depression. And speaking of water, I say this often, my waters were disturbed. But the beautiful thing about water is it's mutable. If my waters are troubled, why not split them and have a path to walk through those troubled waters. If my waters are troubled, why not go with the whirlpool? Go with the whirlpool, get to the base of it and swim away from it. I'm that mutable. And I had to accept that and understand that I was so used to being the one to save the day and so used to being the one with the answers, being the pillar, being the strong one. And I had to allow myself the very real blessing of being a weak one, being a tired one, being a hungry one, being a sad one. The smile was big, but I was very hurt, and my waters were disturbed. And my valley didn't look as plush and green as I hoped it would look at my age at 37. And I felt some resentment, unfortunately. I questioned God, my God. I asked him, I said, well, you said if I'm a good steward of, you said if I was obedient, this wouldn't. What about those promises? And truth be told, I was being granted those promises. Because now in hindsight, I'm not only the water, but I'm an eagle above that water. And what was frustrating me is not being alone as an eagle. I don't mind not being a part of the flock. But what was bothering me is I kept circling and I did not have a place to land. That's what bothers those strong folk. It's not the fact that they're strong. It's not the fact that they'll have to face their weaknesses eventually. But when you're soaring high, believe you me, you're going to want a place to touch down, get a drink of water before you have to ascend back up. Ascension takes work. Flying takes work and it takes effort. If the wind isn't strong enough, you will not coast. You have to keep yourself in the sky. And one of the most troubling things about coasting around in those clouds, as beautiful as it is you're looking for a place to touch down. And if you don't have that, it is very tiring and it's very frustrating. So I had to have my time of circling, of going through dark clouds, of having my waters troubled, because I had to wait until I saw solid ground and healthy ground. And so now, knowing that and learning that about myself, I don't mind circling a little longer. If I'm blessed to have the strength and endurance to circle a little longer until I know that there's a safe port and post for me to land on, I'll be circling. Because then you also get the surveillance, things that you weren't able to surveillance while you were down there by the water shore. Now you have a bird's eye view about all the toxicities that you held, that others held. You get a bird's eye view of how far you come, your accomplishments that you overlooked in your depression, in your grief. You get a bird's eye view of all these things. You get a mapping. And then that you find that you have a new blueprint for the next phase of your life. But unless you can ascend from the water shore and hover above it, you won't see all those things. So I allowed my waters to be troubled. I allowed myself to cast my prayers over my waters. And I allowed myself to circle above the waters. And now I understand that I'll circle for a while. And I accept that. And I accept that I'm tired. But I know the hope in me and the intuitive nature of me knows that I'll have a safe place to land, sure enough, in due time.
Whew. Now, if that was not a word, I felt that. Yes, child, I felt that. So, as we talk about the eagle-eye view and the waters being stirred and the valleys that, though they come and how they show up, in the body, we hear so many empaths talk about, needing tools to manage. So what have been some tools for each of you that you have used, that you have found like, yeah, this is, don't leave home without it. So like, we know we sage in our stages, but what are some things that you all have individually used to where it's like, this is my kit. I think everybody has like their own kit. Like for me, this part of my kit, the Ernest Holmes, that's part of my kit. You know, I have a morning devotional. I got to do that. If I don't do that, like nothing else is right. But I know for each of us, it's going to be different. So, Latrice, what's part of your kit?
Well, part of my kit is my morning ritual, which I don't get it all the time, but I definitely feel it if I fall off. I fall off because inside of my morning ritual, it encompasses time to like have meditation, prayer, um, do my gratitude work, do my forgiveness work. That has helped me like a whole lot to forgive myself. It takes a lot, not only, to forgive others for things that you feel that they've wronged you from, but like forgiving yourself for decisions that you've made, at certain, times in your life and stuff like that. So being able to do that on a consistent basis, whether it's big or whether it's small, has helped me to, move past it and, visualizing more of the things I want and affirming more of the things that I want and I need. It helps moving my body, getting my energy up, keeping my energy up, drinking water, so basically taking care of myself, mentally, spiritually, and physically is important, for me, so, I have to do that consistently. And yeah, like how she was saying, like when you are like the rock all the time, sometimes you have to allow yourself, to also receive, to also not do anything, also to rest, to also, have your day and stuff. So I allow myself to do that more now. If I don't feel like doing something, sometimes I won't do it, if it's not something that I've, promised to do. But in general, and even that, like if I have to make another amends, I take care of myself more, because that going, it burns you out. And it's difficult to come back when you've gone too far, and I've went too far. so so I try to manage that energy, all that energy. So yeah, so that's what I do.
Essence, what do you do?
Oh my goodness. I draw, I sing, I rap, I write poems, I study my scripture. Um, I allow myself to nap as long as I want. And and one thing too that keeps me grounded, and it keeps me from being so aloof, is I keep my business obligations. And I try to be mindful of keeping that schedule too and abiding by that, because I can have a tendency to be so dreamy that I escape, and I escape for too long. And like Latrice was saying, getting too far away where it's hard to kind of swim back. But I make sure I have a sense of normalcy where I'm not so lost in my thoughts and emotions that I forget that there's a whole world outside of my microcosm of existence. So I'm very mindful about the outside world, even if I don't engage with it as much. But I'm mindful of it. I consider the plight of other people too. If ever I think my day isn't as good as it is, and I've had so many good days, today's the best day of my life is what I tell myself every morning. So I have to live up to that. So when things feel like I'm not having the best day of my life, I look at someone who hasn't had the best year of their life. And I'm reminded that I ought to shut up real quick and get some praise in my mouth, you know. And it is not to dismiss any feeling that I'm having. I acknowledge that too, but I don't stay down for too long, because I know that anytime that I wake up and the sun is rising with me, today is the best day of my life. I'm going to live up to that. So that's what I do. Affirmations, meditation on scripture, and creative outlets.
That's a really rich, rich practice to get into. And I love that you made it your own.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, yeah, Mufasa. That was good. Love it. Hey, what do you do? What's in your toolkit?
Well, so I do love that in our session we did have some body practices that I share there. So I'm just going to encourage our listeners
Mm-hmm.
here today to be sure to sign up for the summit. Click on that link, register, make a note of the calendar, who's speaking at what time, where, when, and like you were saying, grab your tea blanket or something stronger, and do what's good for you to be present and bring who you think you're ready to bring with you, into that new earth, into that leadership, and into soothing the sensitivity that is in all humanity. So that's first of all is this summit is a toolkit that I'm going to point people to and the practices that I shared in my interview.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll add to that, you reminded me, um, uh, our artivist here of a practice that a couple of things that are important. One of them is today is today, and I'm glad it's today. Today is today, and I'm glad it's today. On the best days and on the worst days, to really, show up for each day. Praising the day, praising, meeting the day. Whether we are in the depths of despair or at the height and peak of joy and excitement. There's a colleague and good friend of mine, Bernadette Pleasant, the founder of
Mm.
FEM. Um, she talks about there's no good emotions, there's no bad emotions, there's no light emotions, there's no dark emotions. There are emotions that are needing to have their space to be felt. And then I like to talk about, as an acupuncturist, that emotions are like a wave. And so I do take my child and I, we've been surfing since they could walk. We've been getting on surfboards in Costa Rica, Hawaii, around the US, East Coast, West Coast surfing, all of it. And how is life? How is life? Something that we've got to learn how to ride the waves.
Mhm.
Get up, fall down, figure out how to balance on the board, get knocked down, feel like you're drowning. Sometimes those waves can hit you hard when you're surfing. But how do you stay in it? So I loved that. And then for me, I really do believe in body work. I believe that it's not, something that's reserved for your birthday when you go treat yourself to a massage or a facial. Um, I believe finding what feels good to you for regular maintenance. We don't, just put gas in our car sometimes. If we're going somewhere, we know we need gas in the car. So, do you know about Reiki or acupuncture or acupressure or deep tissue massage or Swedish tissue
Mm.
massage? Or there's, Hawaiian lomi lomi massage. There's a water massage where you're in, a pool with the massage practitioner, and I think it's called Watsui or
Mhm.
Watsu. Um, but I'm not an expert in that, but I do know that I've experienced it in Portland with a water massage therapist over 30 years ago. I just celebrated my 50th birthday, and I do believe that a lot of the ability to be as youthful and as, in my body as I am is all, and I've been hit hard. We've all been talking about the valleys. I've met some pretty, deep, dark valleys. And, it's energy work and body work and showing up for my bumps and bruises, with a little echinacea and a little TLC and a good friend. I do call friends a lot. I think our phones, Zooms now, Skyping, texting even. So those types of tools that really help me stay embodied and show up.
Yeah, that's so, so good. I hope that, those of you who are listening to this, yes, sign up for the summit. I'll say it again, sign up for the summit because the knowledge that is coming, if this is just a taste of what the knowledge base, because we have over 14 experts that are bringing in their expertise, their knowledge to help you navigate as an empathic leader, but also as a divine being that you are. And so my next question is, so we can talk shop just a little bit. We're out here in the cyber world, right? We're quarantined, so we're probably spending a little more time than usual on social media, and we're taking in things through our gates, through our eyes, our ears, even the things we say, as we're typing. And so we've seen a lot of movement around, like, the 6-figure launch and the 6-figure business and the 6-figure that. And, and I want every woman, especially, to make as much money as she wants to, because I know when women have money, they invest back into the communities, they invest back into things that really matter. So speaking of things that matter in your practices, what are some of your best tools that you've seen or that you like to use when we talk about bringing in clients? So instead of marketing, I call it outreach. That's just a Brenda thing. I don't jump on sales calls. I have conversations. So whether that enrolls, great. If it doesn't, great. Let me help you on your journey. We don't often talk about like the emotional part of things. And Marion, thank you for joining us. We don't always talk about the emotional side of business. So if you all could share some of your best practices as it relates to, one, how you attract clients, but I think it's even deeper. We don't even talk about how we maintain our clients, because these are souls that are coming to us, uniquely to us. So how do we care for those people that are helping us to sustain our livelihood? How do we care for them? And I know that's going to show up differently for each of us, but if you all could share, sort of the way in which we usher them in, and then how do we love upon them once they're in our containers.
I'll share a little bit that so love how this dovetailed off the previous question, because I do believe that when my cup is full and that I feel well resourced and well pleasured and rested, that I'm able to be there as the guiding light for the people that are seeking my support much more strongly, firmly. And so pleasure. I am known by many as Juicy Jen, Edgy Zen Jen, and all that good stuff. And so, living orgasmically in life, living, loud and proud and present to, passions, dreams. And so talking about my dreams, talking about my desires, being willing to lust for things, being taken to my knees by pain, and sharing it. They say that joy shared is multiplied, sorrow shared is halved, and so being willing to tell on my deep, dark fears, and sometimes getting to turn those around and turn them into truth. So when it comes to business and marketing, as you're talking about, when I get a sale, I was introduced to run around the house naked, being like, I made the sale, and just celebrate it, talk about it, and when something goes wrong or something didn't work out, cry over it and tell someone about it. Gosh, I really was hoping this thing was going to work out, and it fell through at the last minute, and my heart's broken over it. And then someone being there, able to have that sorrow with me and say, I got you, I see that, I can see why that would hurt so much. So authenticity, realness, rawness. And when I say pleasure, there is that sex witch in me, that like sex magic, is using self-pleasure, holding a desire while you're self-pleasuring and thinking about it and seeing if it comes about. Again, I am Edgy Zen Jen. So there's all of that with me.
We love all of that. And I think that you contextualize pleasure, I think, in such a way that we don't often think about it. It's like in our culture, things are so compartmentalized, but it sounds like you're bringing a fluidity and a zest and a juiciness in a way that's not destructive, right? Because, we can lust after things in a way that is not good for us. But you're kind of flipping it on its ear where it's like, feel into that and let it be good, and let it be juicy and orgasmic. And can't our, when we have the sales experiences, can it be juicy? Can it be orgasmic? Dee and I are both poets. So, when you on the stage, it's like, don't let me get in my zone. Don't let me get in my zone. Because I don't care what, look, I'm happy. I don't know what y'all doing, but I'm like, it doesn't even matter. It's not even in the audience anymore. It's kind of like you just have just been taken over, by the spirit, by the juiciness, by the orgasmic of it, where it's just like, hey, I hope y'all having a good time because I got mine. Did you get yours?
Right.
So it's like, look, it doesn't even matter. Because I'm gonna give you everything that you came here for and more.
Y'all my type of ladies, because I
Yes.
listen, let me tell y'all, first of all, we just had this conversation inside my Whole Boss Academy, because we talked about tapping into our feminine energy, and I was just letting them know, because I was like, what y'all don't know about me, I used to own an eco-friendly sex toy shop online, okay? I did that. And I used to do, because I've been a vegan chef for like 25 years. I just came up on 25 years, y'all. But yeah, I've been a vegan chef, and like in my little classes and stuff, because I also have my sex toy shop, I would, connect, because they're so close. Like eating and sex is so connected. You know what I'm saying? So like when I was helping like women to, help to release extra weight and to like get more confident into their skin and be able to attract, more of their ideal mate and stuff like that, tap all that. And so I'm with you, Jack. Yes. Yes, I definitely believe in that, tapping into that your feminine power and, activating that so that you can like send that out. And then on the other side of it, I'm like a hardcore nurturer servant at my demise sometimes. But, so I'm really connected to my clients. Like, I'm really connected to them. And so like, a lot of times when I do my calls and coaching calls and stuff like that, because as I tell my when I tell people I'm halfway psychic, I'm halfway psychic, not always like I'm halfway psychic, so I'm able to, be able to intuitively to like feel where they are and where they want to go. And so it helps. So I feel like I really do have like a deeper connection. But I also believe in scalable businesses as well too. So I definitely prefer more of like group coaching. I prefer, being able to create things that, I can manage my energy, being an empath and stuff, and, being able to like take care of yourself first. You take care of yourself. I believe in creating a you-centered business with client-centered products and services. So you create a business that you're giving your best, your desires, your true desires, giving your best talents. You're setting up your business in a way that you want to set it up. You're working with the people that you want to work with. But then when it comes to like delivering what you say you're going to deliver, you're totally client focused on those products and those services and stuff. And that's what Whole Boss is actually based on, creating taking a holistic approach to business without sacrificing yourself, your health, or the ones you love. So that's what it's all about. So yeah, I believe in that. So
I love it. I love it. And Jen, when you were talking about, I was literally just before hopping on this call, did a live for my group on manifestation and how receiving pleasure and feeling pleasure and everything is absolutely going to just, because when you feel pleasure, we feel good. We feel good, we raise a vibration. When we raise a vibration, everything else just also falls in line, right? So I'm like, everything you're saying, like, yes, and all about that sex magic, like manifested this through sex magic. My orgasms are magical. It makes wishes come true. Like, so I love all of it. And I think when we embody that energy, whether we say it or not, can be felt, right? With our clients, with our community. Like we can say it, but they can feel it. And it also gives them permission to feel that pleasure, to feel good, to know that it's their birthright to feel good, right? And do it in a more feminine, receptive mode. So it all ties in together with not just, clients and sales, but how we all show up, because it gives others permission that they can bring that part of themselves too, right? I feel like the majority of what's out there in our culture is like taboo. When like, why? Like, why is it that we talk about all these other things so openly, yet we can't talk about sex, we can't talk about money? Like, why is that taboo? These are things that are part of life, right? So I love it, everything you were saying. Sex magic witches right here. I actually have a rose quartz, it's not even a pleasure machine, not push play, but what are they? It's not. I don't call it a dildo. It's like my pleasure stick, but it's all in the
Well, your
crystal.
joystick. You have a
Yes,
rose
yes,
joystick.
in crystal form.
A crystal form. Oh my gosh, I love it. I am so here for it. And I just love to, of course, expand this because when we talk about, artistry and, a lot of times we'll hear things like, starving artist, broke poet, but it's like I look at you, sis, and it's like that's not the like at least it's not the case. Like you're able to monetize yourself in a way, but you're not selling your soul, not
Yes,
at the expense
absolutely. I
of your
think,
soul. Yeah.
yeah, I think what I can best offer my clients is a genuineness. Like I show up, you know what you're gonna get. You know what you're gonna get. I operate in multiple facets, but you know that every facet is me. And I think with that authenticity, they feel comfortable about working with me, about doing business with me, because they know they can rest assured that the product that they sought out to get, that's what they're going to get. And for me, in order to do that, I actually decided to have a vow of celibacy to myself over the past 9 or 10 months now. And I'm not denying myself any pleasure in doing so, but I realized that I wanted to retain some of the pleasure that I was giving out, and have it given back to me in other facets of intimacy. So I find myself being more of service and not in a way that is sexual. I love it. Don't get me wrong, honey. Don't get me wrong. But in this season, I wanted to keep a piece of myself for myself. And I started there. And from there, in denying myself certain releases, I was able to fast better than I'd ever been able to fast. Where I can only fast for maybe a few hours or maybe a day, intermittently, it became 3 days. And that had never happened before. And that made me even more sober minded and clear in my thoughts, where I can compose a piece even quicker for a client. And that was the newfound intimacy. It was retaining this energy and pouring it out here. And as much as I love to pleasure a lover, I was pleasuring myself in a new way. As much as I love self pleasure, I was pleasuring myself in a new way. And thankfully enough, it paid off for both myself and my clients that pressed into me and sought my services. So I agree with what the ladies are saying. Sex is very magical. And I also became careful of who I align my sexual energy with. I'll be so mindful. I have been, but I'll be even more mindful because that good sex magic and energy, it is very spellbinding. It will bless the lives of whoever you're intimate with. It can curse the lives of whoever you're intimate with. And a lot of people want to press into you because they know that sex magic that you have will bring them good karma. The connection in the physical will bring about a connection in the spiritual and in the social arenas as well. So you want to make sure you're linking up with someone that isn't intended on socially climbing with you or depleting your energy in general. And so, like I say, in order to be a bit more sober minded for my particular walk, I decided to abstain for a spell.
I love that because pleasure isn't just sex, right? Like I find pleasure in food. Like how can we find pleasure in all the things in like life, in breathing, and like waking up? So I love that because we can channel all that to what we're doing. finding the pleasure in flow, in dancing and music. Like, I think we've been taught that pleasure is only sex, when like pleasure can actually be available, feeling good in so many things. I find pleasure when I'm in service of being in the zone and helping with my clients, right? I find that pleasurable, guiding them to where they have their own like aha moments and breakthroughs, in their business, but also energetically. So I love that, because I think we can find so much pleasure in so many things, and it's not just sex magic is powerful, absolutely, but also in so many other endeavors that we have.
Yeah, I love how you are a holistic approach to our lives, our businesses, um, our missions. Right? It's this very holistic approach, and it's my prayer that all the empaths that are listening to this, that you avail yourself to all that's available, because we've gone through um, a serious storm, particularly in these United States, where we're having some courageous conversations now. We're having some very courageous conversations, and I think that's important to have courageous conversations. But we can add pleasure into our activism, right? We can have peace into our activism. And this, our very existence. I mean, this summit has so many, a wide array of women of color, and no one's wearing it incorrectly. No lived experience is incorrect, but we're bringing our whole selves, our our Black girl magic, our Latina love, our Filipina flair. Like, all of it is so beautiful, right? And I think that part of the proceeds when you sign up for this summit, when you do the VIP upgrade, is going to go to the Power of Girlhood and figure skating in Detroit. And I don't know about you all, but I was a sobby mess watching Kamala getting sworn in. I mean, just the sheer magnitude of how many centuries did it take for it to finally be a thing. And there's going to be generations now where this is going to be their norm. Inclusive spaces will just be, that's normal. This is just how it is, you know. And I think that is showing, that's a testament toward all of the prayers and the marches and the unyielding toward legislation that was unjust. This will be normal. It was not all for naught. But I also do want to center that there still is a consciousness that would prefer it to not be this way. There is a consciousness that would prefer it to be stagnation and oppression. There is a consciousness that would prefer it to not be the love and light that we're aspiring toward. So with that, I would love to have each woman share her vision for the new earth. What is it that you are just like excited to see, even if it hasn't manifested yet? What are you excited about coming forth? So any one of you can take that one, but what are you excited to see?
I'd like to share, because I'm going to need to sign out soon, and I don't want to miss this opportunity to just say, I really do hold vision that the work that I did, bringing body work into jails, bringing body work and spa work into hospitals, and not just for our, veterans and medical arm, Walter Reed Army Medical Navy Hospital, doing acupuncture, offering, fully, full body massage, yoga classes, meditation, mindfulness, bringing all of my work into Washington, D.C. public schools in, the late 80s and early 90s. So I have a vision that the new earth has a sense of connectedness to our bodies, and that as women, we're able to teach our children and our, female or male or non-binary partners in love, that self-care is not for, those other people that can afford it or that, have the time, but that it's for all people with a body. This being encased in what I call this spacesuit is something that requires care, just like our cars and our teeth, and people brush their teeth and floss their teeth. what are we doing to our bodies? Are we sweeping off the negative at the end of the day, having that sage stick, all the different things. So for me, my vision is that we will have a healthy sense of relationship to our body and our ability to care for it openly and freely and pridefully. I want to thank you all, and I'm going to leave you in your conversations. Thank you so much. I can't wait to share this on my page and connect with everybody and see all of the shares at the summit, all of the interviews. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. I'd love to share really
please.
the vision that I hold is one of holistic success and wealth for everyone, especially women, people of color, because and holistic success meaning health in all ways, not just physical, but mental, spiritual, wealth, not just money, but also feeling prosperity in all ways, sacred love and purpose. And when we really have all of that, this holistic picture, we realize that we're all connected, right? And that each one of us individually has that power to make a difference, to have that conscious ripple effect, to not just help heal past generations, but and our ancestors, but also future, right? Because the time really, there is no past or present. The time is non-linear, it's all existing. So when we do that healing and we step forth in our mission, we're able to help all of the other timelines that we have here. So I hold that vision for holistic success. I truly believe that when we have more conscious people, especially conscious women, have more holistic health and wealth, that the world becomes a better place. It absolutely does.
Oh, thank you so much. That's such and I stand in agreement with you on that vision. So powerful. Latrice, what's your vision for the world?
It's really simple. Self-love, care, awareness for yourself, but love for each other, as well too. I feel like it's just not enough love. We're not loving ourselves enough. We're not loving each other enough. And I just want to see a world of more love. Which would tap into more abundance, to more, connection, real connection. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's what I see. And, just so that, people of color have that abundance and that love they so deserve and desire after, centuries of pain and suffering. And, it's like, I just see that, and we have to do that, now, now. We don't even have to wait for the new earth. I mean, because that's what's going to usher it in, so we got to do that now. But yes, that's it.
Oh, I love it. Yes. D,
Yes.
what you got, sis? What's
For
the
me,
vision?
it's very simple. I want the deconstruction and erasure of every social construct, every ism that strips anybody of their humanity. Once that's done, I believe all evil will be done away with. That's all evil is a hierarchy, an assumption that I'm better and you're less than, and it ought to be that way. So the erasure of every social construct that strips anybody of their humanity, I want that on the new earth.
Mm. From your lips to God's ears, and so it is. Amen. Our woman and our shay, and so it is, because we remember, we talk so much about the womb, right? As when we have a womb, but everybody has a womb. Your mouth, that's where everything is really. So what you put into your so if you speaking it,
Yes.
you speaking life.
Yes.
Your mouth is a womb. So be careful what you're incubating, what you're thinking on, right? Because what you speak out here. So we do have to we're not acknowledging the social constructs. We see them.
Yes.
But we're speaking because we know that we have a power within us, endowed in us.
Yes.
That we can speak those things as though they were. We're decreeing a thing.
Yes.
Yes. So y'all didn't come to, look, I didn't come to preach today.
Yes.
This is not what I came here for today. I just came here to highlight all of you all and the magical work that you're doing out in our world and in so many different ways. But it's like, although there's so much diversity, it's so much unity here too. And in that, you have this beautiful empathic heart that's now emanating, and now we're summoning, right? Because it's like we got 14 experts. I know that's creating a ripple in the time space continuum. I know people are going to be different on the other side. You're going to be coming to the summit one way, but I know you're going to leave the summit totally different, because we get raw and real. There is some levity. We laugh. You know, we've had some great discussions, and I just want to invite people to invite a friend. Y'all bring a friend in. You know, this healing, the summit itself is free. If you want to do the VIP upgrade and have this for life, you're changing lives too. And I think that's the important piece I want to understand. 2 programs that center girls of color receive. As you get your best self, you're going to help these young girls and these young women become their best self. Because I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, every day you don't see Black girls on the ice. You know, we've got Debbie Thomas, and I think it's Sonia Bonalay. But there's very few that we see, you know, in these sports. And let's just be honest, ice skate, it's expensive. It's an expensive sport. But like you said, Dee, all those social constructs that strip away our humanity. You belong in every place, baby. I feel like there's any place you want to be, you deserve to be. Do not be intimidated by walking into any room and thinking that it's not for you and that you don't have a place at a table because fill in the blank. No. And you also deserve to create one too. Just being honest. So, ladies, I just cannot thank you enough for saying yes. That's all I can say from my heart. I cannot thank you all enough for saying yes. Because we have so much power. And I really want to shift this narrative from empaths being so overwhelmed that they can't engage with the world, or that the isms and schisms and the social constructs. Who better than an empath to take this? Who better? A leader of empathy and compassion. Who better? Who better than you? And I love that you all are sharing your stories, because you all share your stories so real and so authentically that you can plan in the valley. Even when you're in the valley, that's the best place to plan. You back up against the wall. That's a good time to do some affirmations. That's a great time to do some affirmations, to get still and know. Sounds like a great time to me, because that's all for your setup. And we just want to, you know, each person here is going to help you with your setup. And we talk about things about scaling your business. We talk about scaling. We talk about that. But can we add some pleasure to it? And that's when I'm like, yeah. And not so much from an external place, but from internal, from your spirit. Like that's the juice, that's the jazz, that's the magic. It's coming from you. It's emanating from you. Because you can walk into a room as empaths, and we talk about, oh, I'm taking on the energy of the room. What if you walk in the room and you affect the energy in the room? How about that? How about you stir the waters in the room? How about that scenario? Right? So I'm just, ladies, I just cannot thank you all enough. If there's any parting words that you want to leave with viewers about this summit and about your work.
Come. That's all. Come to this, you know, this is just a little tester of just a little bit of, you know, of what's going on. So I appreciate, you know, for you allowing me to be a part of this. And yes, I look forward to being a part.
Yeah. Dee?
Yes, I just like to thank you for always considering me. We go way back. And it's so good to see us still in good health and of sound mind. And it was a pleasure meeting you, Latrice, and all the other ladies. And I just want anybody that is lending us their ear and their time to be encouraged. I know we're in some trying seasons, but we made it through so much already. And if you guys just hold on a little while longer, I'm telling you, tomorrow will be the best day of your life. But first, live like today is the best day of your life. And I assure you that your body will follow, your actions will follow, and your work and your passion will follow in line with that mantra.
I just want to say thank you, also, Brenda, for creating the space, the space for this energy to flow, the space for all of us to get connected and to collaborate. And if anyone's watching out there and you feel even just a slight pull to it, dive into that intuitive pull to, really get into all the amazing content in this summit, to follow all of the summit leaders and speakers. And know that you're all so powerful. And when you take radical ownership of your power, then your world changes and everything changes around you.
Yeah. I love it. Radical ownership.
I know. I'm like over here writing. Every time y'all say something, I'm like writing stuff down. I'm like, I like that one. Radical
Absolutely.
ownership.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're getting down to the essential nature of a thing. Like when we get right, we're getting down to the root of a thing. So I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it.
Yeah.
So all I can say is that please tell a friend, tell a foe, tell everyone you know. Get ready, get ready, get ready. So February 1st through February 5th is this summit. And every day you're going to have action-packed speakers, things to think about, to meditate on. And like I said, this is free. And so in this time before we emerge, how do we want to emerge? Because that world, so in Detroit, the clock stopped on 313. I'll never forget it. It was March 13th. It was a Friday. And that's when the clock stopped. I don't want to go back to that world. I don't want to go back to that world. That world had every social construct, every kind of oppressive. I don't want to go back to that world. So whenever the quarantine is lifted, how do we want to go back? And I want to go back with y'all. I like y'all. I want to keep rolling. I want to keep rolling with, people on the frequency of love and compassion and understanding. That's the world that I'm envisioning, that where my girls don't have to worry about, is it all right for me to wear my hair braided? Or is it safe for me to love who I love? Is it, do I have to shorten my name because it's too complex for you to say? And strip away all the ancestral root and blood and bone that's involved in my name and my, no. That's not the world I want. I don't want you to be shortened, condensed, hyphenated, siphoned off, restricted. It's a no for me. But I'm saying yes to all of it falling away. So, ladies, again, thank you so much. Look, we got the links moving. You're going to look, there's no reason for you to miss this summit. We're about to be all over here, these internet streets, IG, Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn too. I'm out here. I'm like E40, sprinkle me, baby. Sprinkle me, baby. we are out here, sharing our missions, and we love what we do. We really do. We love what we do. Money is just energy. That's all it is. It's just energy. Currency, just energy. So the more that we can live in that state of abundance, and that you deserve it because you do. Like I said, I don't mind women make as much money as you want, sis, please. But have the consciousness to make sure, as Kamala's mother told her, I love that Kamala's mom said, you're going to be the first for many things, but make sure that you're not the last. So all I can say is, sis, if you're the first, make sure you're not the last. Yeah. So with that, I say, I do, amen, our woman, and Ashe, and join this summit. You're going to get your whole life. I'm going to say it again. This summit, seriously, it's going to get your whole life. So again, ladies, thank you for this afternoon. I love you all so, 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 so. Y'all don't even know. I love you all so much. So peace and infinite blessings.